myself. Okay. Yes, because it's just some maybe connection issues. I can introduce myself. So my name is Uliana.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us.
So my name is Uliana. Hello, everyone. So I am an English teacher here at the university. I'm from Western Ukraine, the city of Ivano-Frankivsk, and I've been teaching English for about 9 years now. So I teach at the university at the Faculty of Foreign Languages. But apart from this, I also teach business professionals who need business English for different reasons. Yes, for traveling, for having business trips, for having some clients from abroad. So like these are my two areas, yes, that I work in: business English and general English at the university.
Well, that's great. That's great. So, Uliana, this is actually a pleasure for me to. It's the first time I have a teacher who teach at the university. Most of the time we have teachers. You do teaching online as well?
Online, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we are teaching online. We're teaching our university students, but I also do private tutoring as well, online.
Yeah, so at the university, what are you teaching exactly at the university? Are you teaching English as a second language, or?
Yes, as a second language. So I teach general English, I teach grammar, I teach translation studies, because our students major in English and translation studies.
Ah, yeah, so you're teaching students majoring in English studies.
In English, yeah. So they are future teachers and or translators, interpreters.
Well, great. This is great. Do you have any experience with teaching like beginners in the language? I mean, people who have just started learning.
Yes, of course. When I just started teaching, yes, I was teaching beginners, yes, people who were just, starting this journey with a foreign language. So I have this experience as well. And now we have different students, depending on their level. We have different groups, yeah. So they usually come to university with well, it depends, but usually it's B1 level, sometimes it's A2, so different students. And business professionals as well. I teach business professionals, and there are lots of people who start learning English because they need it for business. So.
Great. So, Uliana, you've been teaching now for how long? For how long have you been teaching?
For 9 years.
For 9 years. Well, in this 9 years, did you do something else before starting the job of teaching, or you started immediately with teaching English?
Well, I graduated from the university, yes, and then I had some, part-time jobs in some private schools, but after that, I was back at the university and I started my career there. But yeah, I've been teaching. I've been just teaching, nothing else so far.
Yeah, that's all you did in your life.
Yeah.
How would you describe the job of a teacher after this 9 years of experience? How would you describe this job?
I think you need to be very passionate about what you're doing, because teaching is not just about explaining something. It's not about to be just an expert in the classroom, but it also about having personality. Yes, students like when you are cracking jokes, when you feel them, when you are on the same terms with them, when you feel their needs. When you are a modern teacher, yes, when you're not just teaching grammar, but when you are singing some songs, having fun, having different projects together. Yeah, so I would say that a teacher should be very passionate, very enthusiastic, creative, of course, flexible. Flexibility is a very important skill. Yes, because you always need to adjust yourself to different environments, to different students with different needs, right? So teaching is sometimes also about mentoring. Yes, sometimes you need to be a mentor to your student, and it's not always about just English, you know. So a lot of different things involved, and I would say that being a teacher is a very versatile profession.
Yeah. So I saw a question here in the comments, and I was about to ask you the same question. If time goes back, would you choose another job, or teaching is the choice that you still?
Well, my parents wanted me to be a doctor. But you know, here in Ukraine, being a doctor is a big like responsibility, but it's not that well paid as somewhere maybe, you know, in Europe or in the US, you know. But teaching, yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I don't regret about choosing this career. I love teaching. I like working with people, meeting different people from different backgrounds. It gives me the opportunity to travel, you know, to broaden my
Excuse me,
horizons.
Uliana, there is a problem with your voice. I don't know if you can use some headphones or something. Some comments here saying that your voice is not clear.
Okay, I think well, I never had this problem before. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us, guys? But can you hear me after
Yes,
all?
I
And
can
you
hear you. I can hear you. I have no problems with connection.
say they can hear you, but it's not clear.
It's
Voice
not
is,
clear?
and there is noise in your voice.
Strange. Well, I can take my headphones, but I'm not sure if it's will be better or not. Just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, what about now?
Now it's great. I think now I can hear you pretty much better.
Okay, great. Because with me, it's the same. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you well.
So I don't regret about anything. Teaching is just my cup of tea, if it's possible to say this. You know, I really love it. I enjoy meeting new people, teaching different people of different backgrounds. So yes.
Yeah. For you now, do you do things apart from teaching? I mean, when you have some free time or something, what do you like to do?
Oh, what I love doing. Well, first of all, I try to do some sports. Now the situation with the pandemic is getting worse here in Ukraine. So
yeah, how is it back there? Are you still lockdowns or something? Restriction?
Well, we have some restrictions, but they're not that strict, you know. But the statistics is sad. Yes, we still have lots of cases, but yeah, that's why I do my regular exercises at home. I love doing yoga and things like that. You know, after a busy working day, you need some time to relax, to stretch your muscles, things like that. I love dancing. And, you know, just before this pandemic started, I used to have, you know, regular yoga sessions and dance sessions, but now, yes, we cannot do this. And what I love doing now, talking about, you know, this Instagram, I love networking with professionals, you know, English teachers from all over the world, like you know, when we can share some experience,
yeah, it's great.
Learn something from each other. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and actually, it's something great, especially when you get to see people from different countries. They have different ideas. They have different perspective. They see things from a very different angle. So you get to see the whole picture about teaching.
Yes.
Why I'm asking you this, because I believe that we teachers in Morocco or other teachers in China or something, they have different image. I mean, you need to ask all of them. You need to get to know all of them so that you can have this whole picture about teaching.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, Uliana, this is actually amazing. Well, are you the kind of teachers, the modern teachers who like to be creative, to turn the classroom into an enjoyable place, use songs or something like this? Even you're teaching adults. I think that you worked before with younger ages. I mean, teenagers
Well,
or children.
yes, I work with teenagers. So when they start university, they are, how old are they? They are 16, 17, 19, so they're still teens. Yes, of course. I would say that English is just a means, you know, to do completely different activities, you know, and engagement is really important now. Students need to be engaged, and for that, a teacher needs to be super creative. You know, my students love singing different songs, you know, learning the lyrics, learning new vocabulary, yes, from the lyrics. They love doing different projects, you know, like social advertising, or they love voicing some mute videos. That's the activity that they really enjoy. So I usually, you know, choose some mute videos on YouTube with a nice message, you know, conveyed there, and I ask them to get. Then we have some sort of you know, peer feedback, so it's really engaging for them.
Yeah, that's great. I wouldn't add much on that. So, Eliana, this is actually drives us to the next question. You were born and raised in Ukraine, right? So
Yes.
your mother tongue, I believe, is not English, of course. So how was your first contact, or when? How and when was your first contact with English? How did you learn English the first time?
I mean, in Ukraine, English is taught everywhere. Yes, it is a popular foreign language. So children usually start learning it when they go to primary school. So this is at the age of 7. Yes, but when I was, yes, but when I was a school kid, yes, so it wasn't, you know, that communicative approach to learning English. So we were just, you know, drilling those terrible grammar exercises and learning the text and retelling the text. So I didn't really have those communication skills when I was at school. But then I got a private tutor. We were doing different interesting activities, and she really, you know, encouraged me. She really inspired me to learn English, to speak English, and I'm extremely grateful to her, because thanks to her, I'm now an English teacher. Yes, but I would say that actually, when I was a student, I took part in that program, Work and Travel, in the USA. So I've been to the
you went to the
US.
US?
Yeah, so I've been to the US, and we were working there. So it was interesting because my first work experience ever was not in Ukraine, but it was in the US. But it really contributed a lot to my knowledge.
How old were you then?
I was about 19 or 18, something like this. Yeah, so it was like a full-time job. We were working at the TJ Maxx store, so we were like working in that environment that really helped us to improve our communication skills, to see how people use this language, you know. So that was like, you know, a breakthrough in my experience, in my knowledge. Yeah, and now I encourage all my students, if they have this opportunity, I encourage them to apply for that program. Yes, because this is like the unique opportunity to earn some money, to travel, yes, and to visit the USA.
Yeah, and to improve their communication skills as well.
Of
Because
course.
when you are surrounded with English, when you're in a place where everybody speaks English, so you feel obliged and you learn quicker.
Yes, of
Well,
course.
that's great. Yeah. So let's get to the second part of our life, which is talking about people who want to learn English. I mean, for us in Morocco, it's not the same case for you. You start learning English from a very early age, as you said, from the age of 7 or something. Here in Morocco, the first language that we study is French. So we start French at the age of 6 or 7, but English we don't start it like started at the age of 16,
And what
17.
language, what's your mother tongue? What's language? What
Our
is the
mother
language?
tongue is Arabic. Our mother tongue
Arabic.
is Arabic. Yes. The first foreign language is French. The language that we start studying from an early age, and then English, it comes second. So English is the second foreign language here in Morocco. So we start learning, the kids, they start learning English at the age of 16 or 17, which is pretty late. Well, that's it. So people here, they are good at French, and most of them, they speak French. But when it comes to English, here comes the big question. We want to start learning English. We don't want to go to, we don't want to go to school, to language schools or something, or centers. We want to learn English, depending on ourselves, using the tools that we have online, making use of everything that is online now, on the internet, on YouTube, everywhere. So how would you advise these people to start? What is the right path to learn English in general, and then get to details?
Yes, that's a good question, because now we're lucky to have so many resources available. You know, sometimes, you know, when I talk to people who are, let's say, 50 years old here in Ukraine, they are English teachers, and I'm always wondering, how did you manage to learn English at those times, you know, where there was no internet? Yes, just some libraries. There weren't so many opportunities to travel. So now we are extremely lucky, you know, to have everything available online, and a lot of resources are for free. But I would say that when you are just a beginner, yes, when you are just starting this journey, yes, to be an independent learner, it's quite difficult. So when you are just the beginner, I would recommend to have, well, it's not necessarily should be a tutor. It can be, you know, a friend who knows a language, or it can be, you know, a friend you can find on italki or any other like platform. Because at the very beginning, you need to learn the mechanics of language, how language works, you know, just to have this you know, general understanding. Because, you know, if it's something like German or French, English is much easier to it's much easier to learn English. But when you speak Arabic or maybe Chinese or Japanese, it's like a completely different, you know, way of learning English, I would say. So the script is different, everything is different. So definitely you need to have a mentor, you know, a friend who can guide you through this, just to get this general understanding of how language work. And it's important to surround yourself with that language, you know, so you can have everything on your phone in English, like all these settings, you know, things like that. Of course, listening to music, it should be in this natural way, like you are in your car, switch on not Ukrainian, you know, not Arabic music, but English. Yes. When you are watching a film, try to watch it in English with subtitles, without subtitles. It depends on what are your objectives. Yes, what do you really want to get from there. So surround yourself with English as much as possible. Now there are a lot of people who, let's say, speak Spanish, and they want to improve their English. So you can have this, you know, partnership, yes, to work together and help each other. And now, you know, with this Instagram, Facebook, and all these social media, there are so many different resources available. A lot of native speakers, you know, sharing their expertise. You know, they are teaching. You can get plenty of resources for free, but you need to be really committed, and you need to have this goal. Yes, you always need to know why do you need English, what for, because it will change the strategy perhaps. Yes, if you just want to travel, you need to concentrate on one aspect of language. If you need English for business, then it could be something different. So it all depends on your purpose. Yes, and then you can be really committed. And yeah, and number one is try to speak it whenever it is possible. Yes.
Yeah. So you spoke about guidance, surrounding yourself with English, and also figuring out why you are learning the English language. Well, this first point about guidance, I was wondering, sometimes people ask me, we are confused. We don't know where to start. I mean, this person, this guide who's going to guide us, it could be a tutor, as you said, it can be a friend or something. I don't know what is this help that he's going to give us exactly? I mean, if we don't have this will inside us, if we don't really want to learn, I mean,
I would say that you mean if the person is just a beginner, yes, in learning a language, yes. So you should start with some basics, you know, how to write, how to pronounce, but it shouldn't be, you know, like separate aspects. It should be all these things like writing, reading, speaking, they should be integrated into this communication. Yeah, so it's not just learning, you know, some grammar structures and just that's it. You need to recycle them all the time. You need to have a person to talk to, yes, to use it. You need to have a person to talk to. So it cannot be, you know, just theory. Yes, you cannot learn passively. Yes, that's why you need to always have a person. Well, I can tell you from my experience, because I studied German when I was a student, you know, and when I was a student, we were learning this language. Yes, I knew this language, but when I finished my university, I never use it. So now I don't speak this language. You know, all your skills vanish. All your skills vanish, you know, immediately. So it's like, I always compare, you know, learning a language with doing sports. You always need to be fit, to pump your muscles. Yes, and if you do it on a regular basis, then you will have brilliant results. Yeah. And language is a means of communication. You need to communicate. If you don't have someone to communicate to, you need to find that person. There are plenty of opportunities online.
Yeah, for sure. So I see that any language is the four skills. I mean, if you two inputs and two outputs. I mean, listening and reading. Listening and reading. So you need to listen and you need to read so that you can have inputs. You can learn something new vocabulary, new structures, new idioms, stuff like that. And then after, you need to practice. I mean, to use the language that you got from listening and from reading, use it with speaking, use it in writing. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so if you are able to do the four, then you'll be amazing. You'll achieve great results. So if you focus on just putting it into your mind, or focus on inputs, you're never going to do it. So surround yourself with English. Some people, they say, well, we go to work, we find people speaking our mother tongue, we switch on the TV, you find things in our mother tongue. So we are surrounded with another language, or maybe at work they are using a different language. Here in Morocco, at work we use French most of the time. We use French, sometimes Arabic. So surrounding yourself with English, it can be hard sometimes. You can
Of
do it.
course, I
It's
can
hard to be.
understand you. I'm not a native speaker as well. You know, we speak Ukrainian everywhere. So
Yeah,
sometimes it is a challenge. It is a
yeah,
challenge. But again, there are so many different resources available, so many opportunities. You just need to be really committed to what you're doing. I can tell you now that I started learning Spanish. I mean, and you know, because I love dancing, I love the social kind of dancing. And when I'm dancing, when I'm listening to music, you know, then when I'm checking the lyrics, it helps me a lot. I'm learning, you know, some details, but still, it is a big contribution.
yeah. That's it. So most people now, especially for the first experience, or who start learning English or any foreign language, who start learning it at, I mean, late age. I mean, at the age of 30, 34, you know, we become lazy with life. Some people, they're married, they have responsibilities, work and stuff like that. So most of them, they start learning willingly, and they start with a great will and stuff like that, and they're ambitious and things. But after a month or two, maybe after 1 year or something, they just stop.
That's the same in
What is the
Ukraine.
reason?
That's the same in Ukraine. I really understand what you are talking about. It's the same in Ukraine because I work with different people. I work with adults, and they tell me the same. You know, I'm learning, I'm trying to watch films, but I don't have communication. If you have no communication, then, you know, it's just, you know, you are learning passively.
Yeah, you're learning passively. Yeah. So, what is the reason you think behind this, or how, at least, how can we keep on? How can we be consistent? How can we keep on learning, even though we have staffs to do, we have responsibilities? We're
I would say that if you have your hobby, you can make it with English. Let's say let's say
great.
you love singing, yes, sing some English songs. You love dancing, dance to some English songs. You love reading, yes, try to read in English. You know, you love watching films, try to watch them in English. But here I would what I'm trying to explain to my students, you know, these some linguistic tricks. I always recommend people not to learn, you know, separate words. Yeah, separate words, because then the main problem is that if they do it, they will be thinking in Ukrainian. Yes, let's say here in Ukraine, they will be thinking in Ukrainian, and they will be trying to translate everything into English, and knowing just one separate words can
Yeah.
completely ruin the context, and they can sound clumsy. So it's really important to learn these you know, chunks of language, the whole expressions, the whole part of sentences, you know.
So learning things in context.
In context, yes,
Yeah.
learning context, learn some chunks of language, not separate words. That's really important. I think it's about learning any foreign language, not just English.
Yeah.
Yes, learn collocations, you know, see how different expressions work in different contexts. Yes. So this is what I recommend. And watching films is another good strategy, but it all depends on what you want to improve. If you want, you know, just to see how people articulate, how they pronounce the sounds, so it's better just to watch the film without subtitles. But if you want to learn some new expressions in the context, to see how they are used, it's better to switch on the subtitles. I mean, English subtitles. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there are a lot of different strategies for that, but I think it's beneficial.
Yeah, it's really beneficial. So this is really important about the thing you mentioned. Don't learn separate words. I think drilling vocabulary, trying to memorize vocabulary, is not helping. I would say is not helping at all, because you end up forgetting all these vocabularies since you're not using them in context. You're not putting them in sentences and speaking using them. So if you can learn, why? Because learning expressions sometimes help you speak. I mean, if you learn a separate word, if you're in a pen, bottle, something, so it's not going to help you talk. But if you learn expression, if you learn like I'm fed up with, or if you learn I can't get enough of, you can use it. You can still use it. And I noticed this sometimes.
Yeah, because it's already like a sentence, you know?
Yeah, you have a sentence, yeah. So you can add to it, you can change it, you can tell it to your friends, maybe you can practice using it, you can just joke using it sometimes. So, and this what helps actually, using the language, producing it, writing it, doing things with your language. But singing also, stuff like that. Well, Uliana, I got something that really bothers English learners, especially beginners, which is the problem of pronunciation. Well, they say English is easy when it comes to grammar. After all, English grammar is easier, much easier than other languages, I believe. It's much easier than French grammar. It's much easier than, I don't know about Ukrainian. But I believe that English grammar is not the challenge, after all. The challenge in English is the pronunciation. People they get confused, especially European languages. They have the same source. So there are some words that looks the same, but they're pronounced differently. Some sounds they look in a way and they are pronounced in a different way, like the word enough. Like so, people they get confused. They say we are struggling with pronunciation.
Yes, and here I would mention, because you are learning French. You know, in French they have some spelling rules. Yes, like this combination of letters is spelled in this way. The same in German, the same in Spanish. But in English there are no pronunciation rules. You know, there can be completely similar words, but they can be pronounced completely differently. Yes.
Yeah.
So
that is it's a really big challenge. So speaking also about the sounds, I mean, for Arabs, in Arabic we have totally different sounds, especially the sounds like the sound R. They don't exist in our mother tongue, so we find it really hard to pronounce.
The same with Ukrainian. I mean, we don't have this sound R in Ukrainian. We don't have this th and the. We don't have it. It's a big challenge for us as well.
Yeah. So it's a challenge to everyone. So what would you recommend for people for practicing pronunciation to better your pronunciation?
Okay, that's a good question. I like it. I would say that learning pronunciation, you know, learning how the language is pronounced is very much like, you know, mimicking. You know, I call it to parrot. Yes, so you can just listening to a person, to a native speaker, and try to mimic what they are saying. You know, this articulation of sounds. But a very nice strategy, well, we do it at the university at our phonetics course. It's called shadowing. So for example, you have like a dialect in English, yes, and you listen to it, but you pay attention to different pauses, to rhythm, to intonation, if it goes up or down, to how the vowels or consonants are pronounced, and you just mimic it, yes, and you, especially it's good to record what you are saying, yes, and then someone, you can send it to someone to check it, or you can just compare it yourself. And by the way, I just remembered that, do you know this platform Coursera? I'm not sure how it is pronounced in Coursera, yes?
Coursera.
Yes? Coursera.
No.
Yeah. No. So it's like a platform where they offer different courses to learn English. Some of them are paid, some of them are free, but during the pandemic, a lot of courses there are for free. And there are a lot of brilliant courses from top American universities, actually, that focus on pronunciation. And they have those brilliant shadowing strategies. Yes, and those brilliant, you know, instructors that can guide you through that. So someone is writing this. Rafik Saidin is typing this. Yes, Coursera. Yes. I mean, my students were doing a lot of courses there during this lockdown period, and they were really satisfied. It was very much engaging because you get feedback from instructors or from peers, you know, people enrolled in the same course. So it's brilliant. Shadowing is a perfect technique.
Yeah, sure. So, Oriana, speaking about pronunciation, actually drives us to speak about something related, which is accents. And many learners, they confuse accent with pronunciation. And they think that um, to say that someone is good at the language is to have him speak like native speakers or pronounce things as native speakers or have I don't know, the intonations, the rhythm, all things similar, pretty similar to native speakers. That's what a good English speaker is. What do you think? This difference between the accent and the pronunciation. Sometimes we can have correct pronunciation, but still we have a different accent.
Yes, that's a good question. I think now a lot of English teachers are discussing this. Like yesterday, I had live with teacher Will. We were touching upon this topic as well. Yes, this is
I've had it before.
Yes, this is actually an issue in ELT. I would say that when you're learning a language, especially English, that has become truly global language, yes, like an international language of communication, you need to pay attention to your accuracy in terms of pronunciation. This is number one, because when we're talking about accents, and this is like a very common, you know, request from students, I want to sound like a native speaker.
Yeah.
So native speaker, do you mean native speaker from the UK? Do you mean a native speaker from the US, from Australia, or maybe from New Zealand? But even when we are talking about the UK, there are so many different regional accents there, and they are all, you know, British accents. When we are talking about American accent, again, there are so many regional variations in terms of pronunciation, in terms of vocabulary and things like that. So it's really, it's a very broad notion, you know. You cannot just have this objective to sound like a native speaker, because again, English is spoken more by non-native speakers than native speakers. And you know, when we are talking about this business environment, English has become lingua franca, like an international means of communication. And if you want, you know, to travel, to have some business with different countries, you need to be able to understand, you know, Franglish, yes, this is the term now, Spanglish, you know, and all these different variations. Because I work with people from business, and they always tell me that when they are traveling or when they have some business partners, let's say from China or from France, their English is a bit different, you know. And I'm trying to explain to them that you shouldn't be afraid of your accent. We all have accents. I have an accent, you have an accent, and
everyone.
it just, yes, I don't think that we shouldn't be, you know, ashamed of that. It what makes us, you know, individuals of a certain background, of a certain cultural background, and we are learning English to communicate in the world, not just in the UK or just in the US.
Yeah, and after all, our goal, our big goal is to speak English, to understand what people are saying, and to speak, and people can understand us, like without any
you
problem.
just need to have the skill to communicate your message clearly.
That's your goal.
Yes, and I would say that you need to be very flexible, you know, because
you don't want to impress people by your accent or something. You want to be understood, to understand people. That's all it matters. Well, that's great, actually. I like the answer you gave and how you look at things, especially in this topic related to accent and pronunciation. I don't know if you still have. I don't know if you guys have some questions for Uliana before we end or something.
Yeah, so
Uh,
someone is saying that your mother tongue usually had influence on the way you speak second language. Exactly.
yes,
Yes.
for sure, for sure. Yeah,
Especially when
you.
we're talking about pronunciation, of course, when
Yeah,
we're talking about
sound.
speaking, because anyway, we are not natives. We
Yeah,
sometimes, and I would say very often, we are still thinking in Ukrainian or Arabic or French, and we are translating that into English. I would say
yeah.
that this is like a natural process, but
Yeah, that's the process. Because that's the language we have, like default, our default language we have
yeah,
from the birth. So when you want to speak, it's like you all the time refer to the first language you
of
had in your
course.
mind. So it's
Yes,
pretty
exactly.
normal, and pretty natural. Okay, so if you guys have some questions, Uliana, if you have anything to add, anything you want to speak about. Yeah,
What
someone
if
is mentioning here, my mother tongue is Amazigh. I agree. So sorry, guys, for some people here. When you asked me about the mother tongue, I said Arabic, but the majority of people here, they speak Arabic, but still there is another mother tongue, which is the Amazigh language.
so
Uh,
actually like two languages in your
yeah,
country?
two languages. Yeah, yeah. So part of Morocco, they speak Amazigh,
We have
and
the
it
same
is,
in Ukraine. We have the same in
yeah.
Ukraine. Part of Ukraine, they speak Russian. Yes, but here in
Ah,
Western
yeah.
Ukraine, we speak Ukrainian.
Yeah, the Amazigh language is actually the native. It's like the native language, the real native language, the old
Mm-hmm,
one.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the Arabic language, which is spoken by the majority of Moroccan people. So let's see if we can have some question. This question: what's the role of grammar in the English language learning process? What do you
Um,
think?
Well, I think it's important, but you shouldn't be that much focused on that. I mean, you need to learn just some certain, patterns that will help you to communicate your message. Learning grammar, just separate rules shouldn't be your top priority.
Yeah,
Your main goal is to communicate. So communication is number one. But of course, there is no accurate communication without knowing some patterns. Yes,
yeah,
so it should be all integrated together. But I mean, you should learn just the patterns, certain grammar patterns, and again, it depends on what are your learning objectives. Yes, because if it's just for traveling, you don't need to know all the 12 tense, grammar tense. You don't need to know all those, super hard and difficult grammar constructions. So just something that is used for everyday communication. But if you want to be an English teacher or a translator or have some certification, of course, you need to be aware of all the
yeah.
depths of English grammar.
Yeah, but still, we shouldn't forget about grammar. And
Yes.
grammar is an important part of any language
Hmm.
because without grammar, you will not be understood and you will
Of
fail.
course.
In yeah. So let's see another question here. Someone here, please ask her about the way to gain more vocabulary and how to internalize them. Yeah. What do you think about
Um,
vocabulary? How do we gain more vocabulary? How do we learn more
uh,
vocabulary?
well, I can tell you from my perspective that sometimes books and course books, even if they are brand new, if they were just published 2 years ago, they won't give you this vocabulary that you need for everyday communication. Because
Yeah,
if you are just learning through books, you would sound very bookish. You would be good at writing essays, maybe, writing some business correspondence, but not communicating with even native speakers on a regular basis. So here I would recommend, watch the films. That's really important, just to learn some vocabulary, to learn some expressions. And here on Instagram, you can follow a lot of native speakers. I can tell you that I am learning a lot of things from native speakers who I follow here
yeah,
on Instagram,
for sure.
because they are sharing not something that is written in course books, but something that they use like on a
Yeah,
regular
and they're
basis.
really
Yes, in their
life.
everyday communication, especially when we are talking about some phrasal verbs, you know, some slang expressions. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do it myself, and I find it really useful.
Yeah, well, every day is doing this. Me, all the teachers I know, even native speakers, they're still learning new vocabulary every day because learning never stops. Even if you are a native speaker, still you can't know all the vocabulary of dictionaries. You still need to improve your vocabulary.
Yes, and now we have so many different words that you know, that appear due to this pandemic, you know, and a lot of slang expressions appear. So yes, you are learning all the
We need to
time.
update all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Uliana, thank you so much for this wonderful live. Actually, we didn't feel the time passing. It's been nearly now 50 minutes.
Yes, 50
Pretty
minutes,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Right.
the discussion with you was pretty amazing, and people here, the followers, they were really amazed by your answers and about the discussion we're having right now.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for inviting me. It was my big pleasure to chat
it's my
with you,
pleasure.
to share some tips, yes, with your audience. I hope that they found it really useful.
Yeah, and it was really beneficial for me, first of all, and for the followers. And this is an invitation to all of you guys watching. Go and check Uliana's account. That if you have some questions, you can DM her, and she shares also some very useful videos.
Yes, I do.
Which is great. Looking forward actually to do it again, to do another live with you if you are interested.
Of course. Yes, yes. It's great. I mean, I really enjoyed talking to professionals, yes, from all over the world. Yeah, that's great.
Well, do you have any other things, any other thing you would like to say before we end this live?
Yeah, let's keep in touch. Let's keep in touch.
Yeah,
Let's share. Let's communicate. Welcome to my page. You can find some useful expressions there as well. I have lives with native speakers from time to time. So
great. Thank you, Uliana. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you. So that's it, guys. We've come to the end of this live. I hope you benefited from it and you got something, you learned something from it. You can watch it later. It will be saved on my page, and you can go and rewatch it once again. Thank you so much for all those who watched, and stay in touch. Thank you.